Hello viewers, my name is Adam.
I'm Aaron.
This is Seeking Me Productions bring you another TV season review.
The time has finally come. And just like a lot of fans out there for the animated series, it has become our time to give us, or at least give you, our opinions on this latest adaptation of Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender.
On this channel, we review both the animated series of Avatar: The Last Airbender and Avatar: The Legend of Korra from Nickelodeon.
And just like many of you out there, we fell in love with the entire mythology and story that was being unraveled before our eyes when we first got to see this series when it was introduced on Nickelodeon.
On this channel again, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, the first series was our first epic review.
Exactly.
So the high expectations of any other follow-ups from that franchise now is very high.
Now, we didn't watch the first adaptation from this series, the M. Night Shyamalan movie that came out a couple years ago.
It was like more than a decade.
Yeah, you're right. More than a decade ago. Enough's been said on how people feel around it, and even though we didn't watch it, we've seen clips. We got the general basis on how it went down, and yeah, that wasn't really the best adaptation that they could have pushed out there.
Of course, many people are against this version just for it to exist because a lot of people don't like changes at all to what they love. So what is this adaptation has going forward?
Well, this particular season delves right into the first arc of the series, book one, which primarily focuses on introducing us to our group of characters that we're going to be following, that being Aang, Katara, Sokka, and them basically filling out what is going to be essentially known as the trio of Team Avatar that will eventually grow throughout the series.
And for people who are not familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender, it is set in the world where the world is separated into 4 different nations.
That being fire, the Fire Nation, the Water Tribes, the Earth Kingdom, and of course the Air Nomadics.
Each group also have people who are able to control the 4 elements, and only one individual of all the nations
is able to basically bend, in this particular sense, the term given towards individuals who can manipulate the elements, bend all 4 elements and utilize them as a individual as a whole.
That person is known as the Avatar.
The individual who has been born with this ability or is born with this mantle is the young air nomad airbender named Aang.
And like in the book 1, when he gets word that he is the one who is chosen to be the Avatar, he is taken aback.
Mm-hmm.
He's young. He's not was supposed to be said this so early in the game.
But given the circumstances that the world is facing, i.e., imminent attack due to the Fire Nation's need to grow and expand and control everything,
the moment that he decides to take a breather, as you will,
he gets taken right out of the initiative, the whole scenario, and because of that situation, he ends up finding out after he eventually is brought back into the scenario that his entire people, his air nomads, have been wiped out due to the Fire Nation's conquest. And then in this situation, they have also made it their deal to oppress the other nations out there as well.
So, fast forward, as we know, him teaming up with Team Avatar and Katara and Sokka.
Mm-hmm.
The structure of this series, is where you see more of the changes being done in this live action version.
Yeah, and when we say changes, we're talking about fleshing out of certain character developments and world building in and of itself. I.e., this particular version finds itself, because of its live action nature, tends to swerve a little bit towards the darker aspect of storytelling, in this sense that they don't shy away from the consequences that war brings about. And make no mistake, this is a story that deals heavily with the consequences of going through war.
Yes, Nickelodeon, the original animated series, being on that network, it was not Cartoon Network.
Exactly. So there was only so much they could actually do as far as certain story plot points were concerned.
What they were able to show on that network, because right off the bat, this version of the series wanted to make it clear that how different this was from not only the anime series but also the 2010 movie.
Yeah. Basically, when somebody dies on this show, it's evident that they died. They are, especially when you deal with the consequences of what bending elements can really do, i.e., Fire Nation. They don't hold their punches. They burn people on this show.
And shocking like that, based on a taste factor of how an audience may perceive that. This is still, the tone wise is still managed to be for all ages entertainment, but due to the live action translation, it's understandable that they wanted to also heighten the stakes and that showcase the seriousness of what bending can actually do to a person.
This is true.
But amongst that different changes, this show structurally is around 8 episodes for 8 1-hour episodes, different from the 20 episodes of the animated series.
So that means basically a lot of crunch time on certain story elements that they try to introduce within just the first season alone. Again, you're taking 20 or 24 episodes?
20 episodes.
Yeah, 20 episodes from the original anime series, and they're basically combining maybe 3 to 4 different episodes into one episode alone. But definitely feels as though they definitely rushed in certain areas.
The pacing of the show can feel very dense in its storytelling because of how much it is set in one particular episode, to the point that Netflix usually have the binge model for their program, where they show out like the whole episode of the series all at once.
This series could have definitely benefited for releasing maybe 2 or 3 episodes a week.
Especially since how they decided to frame every 2 episodes is in framing of each of the 4 elements.
Exactly.
So a 4-week, 2 episodes tops would have been helpful. I do feel as though the show, story-wise, also have some highlighted aspects that's actually quite positive in terms of world building, ways that certain details that happen later into the series are introduced here.
They also find a way to also incorporate plot points or elements that were introduced throughout side stories that were introduced throughout like comics and novelizations that are also thrown in here as well, that actually helps flesh out certain characters and story plot points.
So in some regards, that is a plus on the live action front, because even though that most people probably would have wanted a one-to-one adaptation, it is nice to see that this live action version wasn't afraid to
do its own thing in certain regards,
but still being faithfully recognizable to what came before.
At no point in this entire series did I find myself feeling as though this wasn't anything close towards what I wanted to see in the Avatar space.
Most of the mixed bag is dealt with how they portray characters on the show.
Exactly. Going first, the main character being Aang, I actually liked what they did with this character. I feel as though him, along with another particular character, I feel as though translated really well.
The actor, Gordon Cormier, he brought even though the series is more serious, he does have a very heightened, light attitude to his portrayal of Aang, like Aang did in the original series. He's optimistic,
but he also knows how to really delve deep on his emotional beats when dealing with certain points in his story. I feel as though there are certain parts where it could have been, if they allowed this show to breathe and with probably more episodes, or just spread it out a little bit further, he could have showcase a lot more of his talent in these areas.
Unfortunate enough, the female lead in the Avatar series, Katara, was played by Kiawentiio. Let's just say with her and some other actors in the series, it's very prevalent on who is a veteran actor and who is a newcomer.
And she very much flows on that spectrum of being new to this particular
field of career.
And on one hand, you understand it, so it's not really to downplay what she brings here. I feel as though, yes, I can see elements of what she was supposed to be trying to do, but I feel as though she needs a lot more time to grow into the character she's supposed to be.
It's more like the difference between this live action version of Katara and the anime counterpart is that this live action version, at least based on what is the actress portrayed and so far and to an extent written, is too soft compared to the more angsty Katara in the anime series.
Yeah, I don't see this particular version of Katara at least having the amount of arguments or combative platforms to engage with other individuals like she did in the animated series. And that's, time will tell whether or not this concern will be one that continues to proliferate, or will she be able to develop into the version that we all know and love.
To a lesser extent, the character or the actor who plays Katara's brother Sokka, Ian Ousley, his performance does come off as amateurish in the beginning, but there is showing more promise in his role of being more the Sokka that is more recognizable.
Very true. The character of one of Aang's antagonists, that being Prince Zuko, like the actor who played Aang in this adaptation, I felt as though he was pretty much spot on with his performance as well, especially the physicality that is demanded of this role.
Dallas Liu, he also was able to showcase a lot of the nuances of the character.
Yes.
You can tell that they, as far as character development wise, this live action version actually fleshes out a lot more of the Fire Nation than you would expect.
Yeah, to the point that you really don't. They're still pretty much the bad guys in this series, but you do understand where they are coming from as far as the structure of their society is concerned, and that was actually something that was really enjoyable to see.
To the point that an extension of Zuko's character, Sun-Hyung Lee's Uncle Iroh.
Mm-hmm.
What's missing from this character is a lot of the humor from that character.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so a lot of the dialogue in the series overall is either composed of lessons being learned, lore heavy, or forced humor, as a way with hit and miss.
Again, if you're going to do humor in a series, is better to have it happen organically or naturally than trying to just say, "Oh, we need a joke. Here you get input this." That rarely ever works.
But thankfully, with this version of live action of Uncle Iroh, what shined through was not only that they were able to nail his and Zuko's relationship, but also some of the newer, fresher elements that he was able to have interactions with Aang.
Yes, I was really interested on where they was trying to place this particular concept. Basically giving them room for both characters to actually engage in, far more so than they actually did in the animated series. Please look forward to seeing those concepts brought to life.
Other members of the Fire Nation, or the royal family, as you will.
Yes.
Surprising to see how they were able to flesh out
Fire Lord Ozai.
Fire Lord Ozai.
Basically, with this particular character, this is very much their version of Ozai, in the sense that he definitely is an antagonistic force throughout this series, but you see a version of Ousley that is very much a calculated individual, on the sense that he tries to use people in situations to the best of their abilities for his purposes and his desires.
Yeah, Dale Day Kim was inspired casting on this front.
Yes.
Not only from, he's one of the few actors that actually nails the look of Fire Lord Ousley.
But he also has that raw fierceness and power that drives him as well.
And brings enough gravitas to an incredible cast that's from what majority populate the rest of the series. The season 1 main antagonist, Commander Xiao, was played by Ken Leung.
This is a character where it's definitely a case that they went their own direction with. There are sprinklings onto what, if you are familiar with the original animated series, that you see was where they were trying to develop from with the character of General Xiao. But this version is very much their own.
He's still pompous. He's still arrogant.
But he has his own unique, sneaky ways of going about things.
And his commentary with the world in of itself was engaging to watch.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they part of the what this season did was bring in characters much too early.
Yeah.
To bring in and to try and highlight it, it's understandable why they would introduce the character of Azula very early on.
But with what they give you with that character definitely feels as though is way more amateurish in a sense. And then also, I feel as though they needed more time to cook with this individual.
What's lost in this adaptation so far of Azula is that they're too quick to try and deconstruct the character, before actually highlighting why people like this character in the first place.
I.e., if you know anything about the character from their animated series, you know that a huge aspect of Azula is her sheer confidence in herself and the her demanding right of pride in herself and what she's able to do. This version has a lot of parts that are elements that you will see later down the road with her storyline. And I feel as though by them trying to deconstruct her in this sense, it steals a lot of those parts from us.
I really hope that if the season, this series gets greenlit to follow up on it with a season 2 and 3, because season 2 is basically her debut season.
Yeah.
And her highlight, that they make up for not only Azula but also Katara going forward.
Yeah.
Because the rest of, despite those 2 female characters, they actually do nail much more of the female characters on this live adaptation, from
Suki,
Kyoshi,
yes,
Princess Yue.
They even highlighted a character who they really, honestly, even in the adaptation, they really didn't do that much. That being Katara's mother.
Yes. So, going forward, the 2 main females that people really the show is known for,
they're going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting just to make sure that they are able to compete with everybody else.
A lot of what this live action adaptation really has going forward for as far as promising and step forward to not only live action adaptations,
it's the production of this series. The bending on this show, I feel as though if you are actually a fan of any of the Netflix shows that are out there, if you have seen their work on what they did with another series called Shadow and Bone, that was pretty much a precursor to what you were going to be able to get in this series.
Yes. If there was one thing that this live action series had to get right the first time, and what they make sure that is showcased in the very first scene, is how they were able to execute the bending.
Fire bending, water bending, air bending, these kind of, and earth bending. My God, I haven't seen elemental manipulation this good in quite some time. Especially when you give understanding from the concepts of what the animated series did with it.
Yes, like the animated series, they make sure that the bending is really based off of choreographed martial arts, known martial arts abilities. And you actually do see that choreography showcased. And the fighting is very mixed with not only the elemental, but you also have very parts within the fight scenes
which becomes like literally close quarter hard hitting hits and kicks. It's amazing.
To be fair, 90% of the bending is done
really
good.
Yeah, it's really really good. Like, you really do need to see it to believe just how well they were able to adapt it. However, it is understandable to a certain degree when because of just the nature of the physicality of the physical demand of certain parts of the choreography, considering what you saw what was done in the animated series, and how is that going to translate towards a live action sense with actual actors performing them. It's understandable that you do end up having parts where it's not nearly as polished or fluid as it once was.
Other parts of the production that actually is some major highlights is how well they were realized the setting. Yes. And the overall world.
The actual locations that they actually put in here, at least with the amount of physical concepts that were developed, really makes you feel and believe that you're in the world of Avatar, within the nations themselves.
This was a mix of practical sets while also using the volume well.
Yes.
Yeah, the VFX on the real-time VFX filmmaking technique that was pioneered from The Mandalorian was used extensively here, but
it was done really well.
To the point that they were able to do just one-to-one recreations of actual places from the world of Avatar. Also, bringing to life the many creatures and
yeah. So, like I said, if you definitely use Shadow of Bone as a precursor to what you was actually going to be able to see in this series. We're thinking that this series is probably going to be a precursor, fingers crossed, on how well Netflix is going to be able to do with another series, i.e. Pokemon, because they did an outstanding job making the animals that, if you've seen the original animated series, you know just how unique and vibrant the creatures were from that world.
Yeah, the creatures being like chimera, like
adaptations of animals that exist within our world.
The animal characters like Appa and Momo.
Like flying bisons and lemurs that you think you would think originally that those type of things wouldn't be too hard to adapt, but they really much can be. But in this particular sense, I feel as though they did it really well.
And to finish off with production, the music here, you have some very faithful recreations of familiar themes from the animated show.
And how this one really does it is very done subtly in certain respects, but at the same time it also feels as though, wow, it's just right there. I can't believe they actually, it's almost sends you right back into the show, right back into the story.
Yeah, with some very original takes on not only new ones, but also familiar ones as well. But overall, for season 1, based mostly on book 1 of Avatar: Last Airbender,
Book of Water,
I think that this is a really good start.
Yes.
It won't be fair to judge this based on the whole animated series, because at the end of the day, this is about bringing the world of Avatar into Nickelodeon's Avatar. Let's be honest, differentiate the two for a new audience.
But that's it. That is our review for at least the first season of Netflix's Last Airbender.
My name is Adam.
And I am Aaron.
And this has been a Seeking Me Productions. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And comment below. Do you like the world of Avatar?
Are you game and actually willing to give this adaptation a chance? You definitely should.
And also stay on the lookout for other great media that we post on here, as well as others on Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Letterboxd.
Yeah, because there's only so many hours left in the day and not enough time to actually push it all out.
And again, see you later.
See you.